Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so annoyed at myself because I was supposed to film this video last week and I genuinely made a promise to myself that I was going to post it at least once a week. But because of coronavirus, I had a nightmare ordering like some of the essential things that I'd run out of. So it took a lot longer to film this and I didn't have anything else pre-planned, which is my own fault. But from now on, I will be posting once a week. Anyway, I just filmed this makeup look. It's just my very simple, very basic everyday makeup look. If you want to see how I achieved it, then let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing I do is obviously prime my face. I use the Professional by Benefit just because I have like quite big pores just around my nose and on my cheeks. And I feel like any other primer I've ever used that isn't pore filling or pore clogging doesn't really make much of a difference. Where my problem areas are, so like I said, around my cheeks and on my nose, I don't rub it in because I feel like you just rub the product away and it doesn't actually clog anything, so I pat it in instead. Once my primer's all on, I do my eyebrows. So what I do is just get a little bit of powder and go over my brows just so that they're not oily, and then that way the brow pomade will sit on my skin properly. I kind of figured there's no point in me doing this like I'm an actual MUA because I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to makeup. For my brows, I use the Benefit Brow and I just use like a normal angled eyebrow brush. I literally just follow along my brow. See, like it's a lot more defined. I know people aren't crazy about the defined eyebrow situation anymore. Everyone's got like fluffy brows, but I tried and I just looked like an idiot. So I just thought, let me stick to what I know. The other thing I learned about my eyebrows, I always used to turn sideways to do this bit and it throws off what it actually looks like when you're looking straight ahead. So don't turn and do it, just look straight. But once I've done this brow, obviously I'll just do the second brow. Once I'm happy with the general shape of my brows, I go in with this Smashbox concealer. It's in the shade Light Warm Golden and I just carve out under my brow. So I'll use the concealer and just cover my whole eyelid as a base for my eyeshadow. So once it's done, I just pat it in with a damp beauty blender. Once it's all evened out, just stop it creasing, and also because it makes it easier for me to place my eyeshadow, I use the same powder that I use before I do my brows. It's in the NYX Highlight and Contour Pro palette, but I go in just with this shade because my skin is quite yellow. I then do exactly the same thing for the other eye. Okay, so now that both eyelids are set with powder, I go in with my Morphe palette. It's palette Old Boy 25D. Again, I'll link all the products below. I've lost the sheet with all the shades on it, but I go in with this shade. I will find the shade and I'll link it below. And because I have hooded eyes, I don't go into my crease. I kind of create my own crease. That way, when you look at me, if I put it in my crease, when I look forward, you can't see anything at all. Then I just kind of blend the top of it out. When I used to do this, I used to be so heavy-handed and I just literally rub all of the product away. Okay, so once I'm happy with how it's blended out, I go in with this shade. Again, I'll put it in the description. Use that just to go all over the lid. Now once I've done that, I will use a darker shade. So it's the shade next to the first one I used, which is this one. And I'll place it in an angle. Just like that. I feel like it creates a slight lift. I don't like wearing liquid eyeliner. I just very lightly blend inwards. And then I will go in with an even darker shade. I use this one. I angle it upwards and blend it inwards towards the inner corner of my eye. I feel like you have to have so much patience when you're doing this because it takes forever for it to actually blend out the way I want it to. Okay, so the last shade I use is from my Sleek palette. It's called Eye Divine. Again, I've lost the sheet with the shades on there, but I use this gold shimmery kind of colour. And it's actually a lot easier if I use my finger. And I literally just put it all over my lid. And then just kind of blend that out with a flat brush. Right, so I'm just gonna do my other eye. Now that my eyes are done, I'm gonna do my base. I used the Fenty Beauty moisturising foundation, and it's literally on its last legs, but it's in the shade 235. But I literally just put it all over my face. Again, with a damp beauty blender, I just gently pat it out. Always make sure you blend your foundation out into your neck. Right, so once my foundation is on, I go in with my concealer. Now, I have two shades, they're both from Smashbox. The same one I used earlier, so light warm golden, and the other one is light medium warm olive. This one is too dark and this one is too light. So at the moment I've been mixing them together. I go up along the line of my eyeshadow. So I added a few dots of the lighter concealer just so that it illuminates and brightens under my eyes, as well as covering my dark circles. And I'm going to leave that to set for a little while. I'm going to use the lighter concealer on my chin and my forehead. I'm going to add a few dots of the darker one, and I blend these in straight away. Okay, so while I leave my concealer to set in for a little while, I'm gonna apply my contour. I use the Huda Beauty contour palette in the shade medium. It is quite dark, but I feel like when you're contouring, never be scared to use a darker shade because when it blends out, it really does lighten. But I just use this really small brush and I paint just above my cheekbone so that when I blend it out and it drags down, it doesn't just kind of disappear. In my opinion, I have quite a big forehead. I go below the hairline and blend upwards into the hairline, along my jawline to kind of prolong my jaw, under my chin to imitate a shadow and hide my double chin. I then just use a contour brush and I blend just to the line with a very light hand. I used to be so heavy-handed when I was doing this, and it just makes product disappear. For my forehead, like I said, I blend it up into my hairline. And once it's all kind of blended upwards, I blend it into the concealer. Okay, so once all of my contour is basically blended out, I pour some of my translucent Laura Mercier powder into the lid, ready for when the concealer is blended out. So I can just go straight in with a damp beauty blender. Always make sure your beauty blender is damp. I used to use a dry beauty blender for powder and it just used to go all cakey and like horrible. I'm just gonna blend concealer out. Okay, so as soon as it's all blended out, I grab some powder and I press the powder in to stop any creasing under my eyes. Okay, I'm going to do exactly the same thing for my other eye. Okay, so once I've done both sides, I just do my chin and my forehead. I'll also So go down the middle of my nose and then very lightly. I leave this to bake into my face for 5 minutes. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes, and what I do is I just get a really small powder brush that already has a tiny bit of powder on it, so that when I remove the excess powder, it doesn't drag all of the powder off. Once I have got most of the excess powder off, I go over with a bigger powder brush and just remove all of the excess powder. Now, I know like right now I'll look really powdery, but once I've put setting spray on and bronzer, genuinely, like I have used so many powders and I always look cakey and it ends up going all patchy under my eyes. But this powder is amazing. It's the only powder I've ever used where that doesn't happen. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with, again, the palette that, is it NYX or NYX? Who actually knows? With the shade Tan. People are gonna hate me for this because I use such a big brush for bronzer. But you know what it is? I hate looking pale. And just get a small brush and use the same shade and go along my nose. And I like to join it to my eyeshadow and the inner corner of my brows. Okay, so once all of my base is done, I put my lashes on. I'm not going to do that on camera just because I know I won't be able to. I've put my lashes on. They're the same lashes I mentioned in my day in the life vlog. They're from Wish. You get 20 for £3.50. And the lash glue is Revlon. Okay, so once my lashes are on, I set my face with setting spray. I use All Night by Urban Decay. It's one of my favourite setting sprays for actually making your makeup last. And it gets rid of that overly powdery look on your face. I moisturise my lips and then I go in with a Barry M lip liner. I'm not sure what shade it is. And then I use a clear gloss. And for a highlighter, I use the same NYX palette and I use the shade Ice Cream. I will go down my nose and on the tip of my nose and under my brow, on my brow bone. And I don't like this like harsh line of highlight, so I'll just gently rub over it so it's a lot less in your face. And once that is done, I go back in again with the setting spray. The absolute last thing that I do is go in again with my highlight, just in the corner of my eye. Okay, so this is the complete look. My very basic everyday makeup routine. I'm not an MUA, so I literally just do what works for my face. I used to watch makeup tutorials so much and it would actually irritate me because I could never do what I was watching like the makeup artists do. I have like quite big pores and I have hooded eyes, so it's hard to just follow anyone's makeup routine. I kind of had to change some things, but eventually, like when you watch tons of makeup routines, you will find what works for your face. If you like this look, then please give the video a thumbs up, comment and subscribe. It really does mean the world to me. I appreciate everyone that's been sharing my videos and I will continue to post weekly. But yeah, thanks guys.